Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be speaking to you at this very timely conference on innovation through health technology assessment. In the past, when speaking as a regulator on a topic as important as this, a regulator like me would have focused on why we are different. Questions such as efficacy or effectiveness, benefit risk, or value in terms of cost to the healthcare system. Today, we appreciate how much we have in common with our common aim to deliver for patients, for the healthcare system, for access to products based on best scientific evidence. And it is by working in partnership that we optimize delivery. So in discussing driving innovation, the Regulator-HTA partnership, I would like to focus on three themes and bring up one or two examples. First, why is now the time to focus on regulatory HTA collaboration? Second, what does success look like? What are the key success factors that we need to take into account? And thirdly, importantly, how can we strengthen our collaboration to move forward? So why, what, and how, and of course, who? Well, that is us, of course. Let me begin with why now? Why is now the time to drive innovation? Actually, I don't believe I need to emphasize or dwell on this point for you. I'm sure the attractiveness of this meeting is based on the sense we're on the cusp of a medical science and technology tidal wave of advances in treatments and diagnostics, unlocking the power of genomics, for example, harnessing the opportunities of digital transformation, software, artificial intelligence as a medical device. And importantly, meeting the expectations of patients and the public for timely access. We mustn't keep the patients waiting. And sometimes there is an imperative driving innovation. Which one of us hasn't, as we've emerged into the world from lockdown, perhaps struggled with reading the result of a COVID-19 lateral flow test? Well, the answer now is an AI-powered reader that not only tells you the result on your phone, but sends it to the NHS, the Health Service database, immediately, hands-free. And I think this illustrates two key points: the role today of patients themselves as key users and contributors of data to our systems. And secondly, what a difference the imperative for change can make. Certainly front of all of our minds is the role that the most serious health crisis of all our lifetimes has made, COVID-19, has made in driving innovation for the regulator and for HTA, not only in healthcare products themselves, but in our ways of working. So for vaccines, medical devices, therapeutics and diagnostics, we have all really pushed hard and gone the extra mile. Who would have believed a year ago that we would now see millions vaccinated with an mRNA or a viral vector vaccine for COVID-19? And who would have believed that a regulator could show real flexibility to deliver, not just for vaccines, but medical devices, therapeutics and diagnostics? The first antiviral to come through, remdesivir, provided in the UK via an early access scheme on the basis of reducing the length of hospital stay, following a peer-reviewed publication. New medical devices have reached patients with COVID-19 at pace. This device, the Ventura continuous positive airway pressure device, had an emergency use authorization in under 10 days. A consortium formed of academia and industry went from their idea to 10,000 devices in less than a month. And these are now used not only in the UK health service, but around the world, especially in low and middle income countries. Well, we watched in the first COVID wave a 26% reduction in ventilator use. Was it to do with the use of CPAP? Possibly that contributed. And importantly, mortality reduced by 21% in ITUs over the first wave. Of course, that reduction in mortality was no doubt due to multiple factors, not least the improved understanding of which therapeutics work and which do not. The regulators and health technology assessment teams alike were eager to receive the results of Recovery, the large randomized controlled platform study in this country, 40,000 patients in 181 hospitals. And just this week, we heard these stunning results that are on the screen now, that Regeneron's monoclonal antibody combination reduces deaths in hospitalized patients who've not mounted their own immune response. In other words, they don't have the antibodies. And it's a good reminder of the year's anniversary, just a year ago, the finding from Recovery that dexamethasone reduced 28-day mortality among people with COVID receiving mechanical ventilation, and also reduced mortality in those receiving oxygen alone. And this led it to being introduced into clinical practice as standard care on the same day as the results were publicly available. So let's ask ourselves, how was all this achieved? I'd like to propose this conceptual cycle of learning for innovation, starting at the top with our people, our staff, and I'm sure I can speak for HTAi as well as regulators, empowering our teams to reprioritize, to be proactive, to take decisions, introducing flexibilities in our processes, as I've already mentioned, new ways of working, but most important of all for today, the partnerships across government and the healthcare sector between regulator, health technology assessment, and the health service, resulting in patients getting access, just like the dexamethasone example, and more involvement in those regulatory decisions. We then monitor our performance, audit, yes, look again and learn, plan for long-term change, and it's back to our people and the transformed roles they are playing. So that's the conceptual cycle of learning. But what I'd like to do now is turn to the second question. What does success look like? What has been the basis of our success in the partnership between HTAi and the regulator? A partnership with a purpose called Rapid C19. Research to access pathway for investigational drugs, that's the rapid bit, and C19, I think we can decode that for ourselves. This is a multi-agency initiative, including the regulator, health technology assessment, NICE, and the National Health Service, with the sole aim of getting treatment to NHS patients, hospital patients, patients in the community quickly and safely. So how did Rapid C19 work to speed and deliver access where research shows clinical benefit? And in the points below, you can see just how it was done. Horizon scanning and stratification of likely products coming down the pipeline. A rapid action plan being developed, considered and reviewed and carefully looked at by the Rapid C19 Oversight Group. Then a rapid regulatory signal and a process to deliver it. Application of that regulatory signal to patient access, either via health technology assessment, in the case of dexamethasone, or via a licensing step, as in remdesivir. Now, those are the qualitative indicators. What did it look like in practice? And here is a schematic that shows all the players involved in the landscape in the United Kingdom. Health Technology Assessment, NICE and the Scottish Medicines Consortium, the NHS right round the UK, England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, and of course the regulator too, the MHRA for the whole of the UK. And what this speaks of is not just a set of logos, it speaks to that local knowledge which is vital in translating decisions to action. But then let's put some metrics around the success of Rapid C19. And with thanks to Mind at Boysen, I have some at my fingertips. These figures here, over 15 months or so, tell a story of people working together with huge dedication and commitment. 58 meetings, 72 topics, 5 topics with patient access, 70 being actively monitored, and only 4 stood down. The canakinumab, azithromycin, doxycycline, and CD24FC. But for patients, there is only one metric which counts, and it's days to patient access. So with dexamethasone, you see it here again, top of the list, 0 days. Hydrocortisone, 1, or if you take from early citing of results, 10, and then right down the list. Remdesivir, 4, 6 to the press release, and 3 days, 6 to the press release for tocilizumab, and 3 days for the tocilizumab preprint to rapid C19, 7 days to preprint published, and an alert. CAS is our central alerting service, CAS alert. And then finally, sarilumab, 3 days up to that first CAS alert, and 7 days for the interim clinical commissioning policy. That is what success looks like. Delivery at pace through active partnership working. So now to my third question, how do we build from here to strengthen collaboration, to make it systematic, part of the furniture as we aim to move forward? It starts from the very top. We are privileged to have a Minister for Innovation. He, Lord Bethell, has made it very clear the determination to make sure patients can access the latest cutting-edge medicines as quickly as possible to help everybody live longer, healthier, and happier lives. But we're not starting from a blank sheet of paper. A report that you see on the left, Making a Reality of Accelerated Access, did the groundwork some years ago and set up a collaborative approach in the UK with a range of test products. We also have our long-standing joint scientific advice offer at any stage in product development, advice on quality, on non-clinical aspects, and also on clinical aspects such as trial design, target population, choice of comparator, etc. We also have an innovation office to signpost developers. So we have a lot in place, but we knew that something more was needed to strengthen the Regulator-HTA collaboration. And about a year ago, a core strategic group got to work, and the output was the Innovative Licensing and Access Pathway, or ILAP, as it's been called. The ambition being to deliver safe, early, financially sustainable patient access to innovative products. That's the mission, driven by a partnership between Regulator and HTA, and with close engagement with the health service, along with other health system partners. But importantly, the opportunity to think and to practice differently. All of this was launched on the 1st of January. So those are the aspirations. Let's look at ILAP in more practical detail. And here is the map of the new pathway. Starting on the top left-hand side, an innovative product is brought in for early engagement and early dialogue, developing an integrated view of that product, looking at it from all the stakeholder angles. And if criteria are satisfied, an innovative medicines passport can be delivered, after which a target development profile, a bespoke pathway, is prepared for that product with intensive and multi-stakeholder advice throughout. And at the bottom, you will see the key point, a step change in time to patient access, and an earlier decision point for supervised use in the health service. So a lot to observe on that slide, but let me give you some definitions, just so that you've got crystal clear what these new elements of ILAP actually are. An innovation passport, a new medicine designation, which is linked to the roadmap to access, end to end. A target development profile, which is unique to that product, using tools from a toolkit which drives efficiencies in development, supports data generation, and is clear on the evidence requirements, all of which adds up to an integrated pathway from end to end, pulling together expertise from Regulator, HTA, and all our health service partners. A brief look at the innovation passport. We've chosen a broad definition of innovation, which can capture a wide range of products, including drug repurposing. A non-clinical entry point will give you a long interactive process, but there are multiple entry points. Most importantly, thinking about the patient from the very beginning. Structured engagement, not ad hoc, well-controlled and well-managed, with set criteria for a positive opinion. The target development profile defines those key regulatory and development features, but importantly for developers, looks at pitfalls, what might go wrong, and creates that roadmap for early access. The TDP step allows a high-level consideration of all the issues that might impact product development, licensing and access for that end-to-end plan to be created. And it includes a plan to work together, including with a range of stakeholders for coordinated and efficient evidence generation. The TDP step can only come in once the passport has been granted. And here is quite a list of the elements of the toolkit and how the target development profile proceeds. I won't go through it step by step, but I'd like to really highlight one or two of the elements. Section 3, the future development of the TDP and evidence generation. And this is where we look forward to changes preparing for the HTAi. Patient engagement in section 5, all the hints, tips, and stimulus to engage with the patient community early, looking at patient-reported outcome measures. And then section 7, look ahead at the patient and product life cycle, those possible indications, line extensions, repurposing, and all of it supported by real-world data. Lifting the lid on the toolkit, again, not to take each element in turn, I would highlight the use of real-world evidence at the top of the left-hand list for control groups. Also on the right-hand side, recruitment to trials. Our clinical practice research data link in the UK can speed the recruitment by identifying the kinds of patients whose characteristics fit well. And importantly, there is a tool for enhanced patient engagement, which I have to say, and I'm pleased to say it, is the most popular tool in the toolkit. Finally, a coordinating link between medicines and in vitro diagnostics, absolutely vital in these days when so many new medicines have companion diagnostics. So although ILAP is still very young, not yet 6 months old, we're already looking at measures of success. Not just numbers of applications, but time taken to convert to a full authorization and reach patients. The attractiveness of the pathway compared to what's on offer in other jurisdictions, and demonstration of enhanced patient engagement and influence. We're ready to measure all of these, and we're very open to ideas. So what's the news so far? So far, there have been 4 pilots of the innovative licensing and access pathway to test it out prior to full launch and to build on the results of that experience. It has been very positive, and the lessons have been learned and incorporated in the pathway. I'd like to say a big thank you to those companies and partners who've participated in the pilots. But importantly, 32 innovation passport applications since launch from a variety of different company sizes, large, small, spin out, SMEs, and we're looking forward to being very inclusive, researchers who may be in academia or from any startup, very inclusive. And of course, we're looking at linkages, which I'll talk a bit more about later, with other initiatives. And we see about 1/3 of these products very likely destined for the FDA's Orbis initiative in oncology. The other point to make is that this isn't only for the very rare small population indications. We've seen proposals in diabetes, in chronic wound management, in community-acquired pneumonia. So again, a very inclusive picture. And yes, there has been one innovation passport, happens to be for a rare disease, von Hippel-Lindau, but of course the outlook in that condition isn't good, and belzutifan was a very, very appropriate first innovation passport holder. all demonstrable of a successful partnership between the MHRA, NICE and the Scottish Medicines Consortium in making effective joint decisions and awarding an innovation passport to a product that will truly have the potential to benefit patients. So in summary, on our innovative licensing and access pathway, what have we achieved? Yes, we've achieved system alignment between the MHRA, the regulator, NICE, and the Scottish Medicines Consortium, and that has got to be celebrated. Early engagement with companies and coordinated decision-making. We've used innovative methods and tools that accelerate availability of robust data, and that specific target development profile roadmap tailored to the needs of an individual product. Most important of all, earlier decision-making in the drug development paradigm. Great start, but there is more to say. There's a vital aspect I haven't touched on yet, although I've hinted at it, and that is the possibility of international collaboration. As of January, the MHRA is a partner in the Access Consortium, the regulatory authorities of Australia, Canada, Singapore, and Switzerland, a long-standing and very efficient work-sharing consortium that is now thinking a little more strategically. And I'm delighted to say, early news, that when you see the strategy developed under the leadership of Health Canada, you will see something about integration of regulatory innovation with healthcare systems approaches. So watch this space. It should be a really exciting area. I've already mentioned how FDA's Project Orbis is again an excellent coordinated cooperative initiative. And of course, the International Coalition of Medicines Regulatory Authorities is the bedrock and has really risen to the challenge of COVID-19. I've mentioned, and I'll highlight again, that around a third of the ILAP applications will probably go into Project Orbis. Does it work? Yes, it does. International collaboration, the ultimate direction of travel. And here is the proof: osimertinib, a post-surgery treatment for lung cancer, which has been granted in the UK authorization through Project Orbis. Really exciting. So I promised I would turn to some important success factors. And in the last part of the talk, let's think hard about that. One of the challenges for our collaboration, Regulator and HTA, is sharing information, sharing evidence, optimizing methodologies. And I'm really looking forward to working in this area so that we can get the right evidence sharing systems in place. There should not be barriers when patient access is the goal. And a second area is public trust. Public trust in earlier access will depend on independence of decision-making, transparency of scientific data, clarity of roles and responsibilities, and patient involvement and engagement to really lift the lid on the way that we work. And so my third key success factor is putting patients at the heart of innovation. We've recently launched a public consultation, which is getting lots of input and profile on how we can adopt a more systematic approach to listening to and meaningfully involving patients and the public in our work, and in innovation in particular. And it's not tokenistic, it's because we recognize the huge value that patients and the public can and do add to our decision making. And we want to make sure that we listen to those concerns and views at every opportunity. So our consultation is live, and if you feel like responding, please don't hesitate. We want to hear from you. We're about to launch our delivery plan as an agency, and you will see when it comes out in the next week or so that it too seeks to put patients first, but also to signal this new era in the work of the regulator. No longer a watchdog, no longer a policeman, but a true enabler of access to innovation, the kinds of transformative products that we're seeing coming through. And the bedrock of all of this will be partnerships, which the regulator and HTA are really top of the list. So in summary, the coming together of our worlds, the worlds of regulation and health technology assessment, has already shown the enormous value added it brings for access, for patients, and for the healthcare system. We have new opportunities for integrated pathways, ILAP being probably the first, but let's hope that this will be the pathway. Key success factors for this partnership include patient and public involvement, transparency of our decision-making, data sharing, and let's build in that confidence that earlier access does not mean cutting corners, it means the best possible data in the shortest time. And then international cooperation, this great meeting exemplifies that, will be absolutely vital to fully optimize the opportunities. But if I can offer a view here from the United Kingdom, we say MHRA and NICE are going to be the very best of partners. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to the remainder of the conference being just as successful as the first. Thank you.